بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. میں اپنے سیاہ خانہ دل کی خاطر وفا کے خالق وفا چاہتا ہوں. جو پھر سے ہرا کر دے ہر خشک پودا چمن کے لیے وہ صبا چاہتا ہوں. چمن کے لیے وہ صبا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. مجھے بیر ہرگز نہیں ہے کسی سے، میں دنیا میں سب کا بھلا چاہتا ہوں. وہی خاک جس سے بنا میرا پتلا، میں اس خاک کو دیکھنا چاہتا ہوں. میں اس خاک کو دیکھنا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں.
السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ. اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسألونك ماذا ينفقون قل ما أنفقتم من خير فللوالدين والأقربين واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل وما تفعلوا من خير فإن الله به عليم. جزاك الله.
Going to give a translation of those verses of the Quran.
The translation is as follows. They ask thee what they shall spend. Say, whatever of good and abundant wealth you spend should be for parents and near relatives, and orphans and the needy, and the wayfarer. And whatever good you do, surely Allah knows it well.
Thank you. So now I'll ask for a welcome address by Zahir Saab, who is the chairman of the Charity Walk for Peace.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. In the name of Allah, most gracious, ever merciful. Our message is simple: love for all, hatred for none. Having held charity walks since 1985 and raised over 6.2 million, our aim is to help relieve the sufferings of the poor and to promote peace, understanding, and goodwill amongst people of all walks of life. Today, Charity Walk for Peace are holding their similar charity walks, check presentations, and similar events in a synchronized UK effort to raise awareness of the work of the wonderful charities in the UK. Here today in London, at the location of largest mosque in Western Europe, Charity Walk for Peace will be signing the Armed Forces Covenant and celebrating 100 years of the Royal British Legion. The Armed Forces Covenant is a statement of the nation's obligation to look after ex-service personnel and their families, which became enshrined in the Armed Forces Act in 2011. It guarantees that members of the armed forces community face no disadvantage as a result of their service, and that special consideration to be given in certain circumstances, such as for those who have been injured or bereaved. Last year in 2020, due to various restrictions, we were not able to perform our normal activities of collecting vast amounts of funds. So our members went out and joined local homeless help centers, distributed foods at food banks, collected litter, and helped the Royal Voluntary Service. However, in 2019, as in previous years, we raised over 1 million with over 500,000 just for the Poppy Appeal. I will finish with one of the notable distinctions of Charity Walk Peace, and that is all donations collected are donated back to charities. Not a single penny is deducted for administration costs. It is the Ahmadiyya Muslim Elders Association who covers all administration costs. I am so thankful to all our participants who have come and joined us, because it is each one of you that gives us that special motivation to continue our work. I wish you a good day.
Can I now ask Philip Gent to please come and conduct the rest of the meeting?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, ever merciful, ever graceful. I now have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker, the High Sheriff of Greater London, Mrs. Lynn Cooper, took up office on the 21st of April 2021, having made her declaration before the Lord Chief Justice of England and Wales, Lord Burnett of Malden. The High Sheriff remains the Sovereign's representative in Greater London for all matters relating to the judiciary and the maintenance of law and order. I would like to take the opportunity to thank her for joining us today and request her to say a few words.
Well, thank you very much indeed. It's indeed a huge pleasure to be here. I was invited to a really wonderful dinner a month ago in Newham, where I met everybody and learnt more about the truly, I think, fantastic work that is done in the name of peace in the broadest sense, but peace in our communities, bringing help to the suffering, as we've heard, but also providing much need and help at what has been undoubtedly an extremely difficult time for virtually all of us, but for some even more so. So it's a great privilege for me to be here to stand before you, and I'm going to try and join in this walk, but I've probably minus this hat, to sort of show how much I appreciate what you're doing and be a part of this. The money that has been raised over the years, I think, is truly phenomenal for all sorts of local charities, but also national and international. And I think never more is it necessary for us to join together to provide help and relief and succor and encouragement to us all. So I think it's fantastic, even though perhaps this is not of the size that it would normally be in normal times, that we are here out and about doing the work to support each other. So the work that this charity does and the work that the community does is completely terrific. You might ask why I'm here when I'm sort of, if you like, got this representative role for justice and for law and order. But of course, justice is perhaps a broader umbrella than just courts, prisons, police, all the charities and community organisations that support those organisations, and they do, and it's much needed work. Of course, we have a lot of marginalised people who fall within the justice system. But of course, a broader umbrella, looking after people's welfare, their food, their shelter, helps support the work of the justice system to keep people on the right side of the law, to look after them. And so I see my work, along with other high sheriffs, to provide as much support as I can to all the community organisations that are here doing such good work. Finally, if I may say, my mother-in-law, when I first met her, used to use the word noble work, and I'm not sure I quite understood that, but I do now. I think you do truly noble work, and I'm delighted to be here to support, and thank you all.
Next eminent speaker is the Right Honourable Dominic Raab, the Member of Parliament for Esher and Walton. Of course, he's the Deputy Prime Minister, the Lord Chancellor, and the Secretary of State for Justice. But today, he's here to talk to us about the brilliant charity working in his constituency that he's been raising money for. I would like to take the opportunity to thank Dominic for joining us today and request that he kindly addresses us. Thank you.
Well, it's a great pleasure to be here. Philip, thank you so much for the invitation. And thanks to the AMA for all that we do. It's an incredibly positive expression of peace and the wider sense of justice that that was just mentioned for the community. I hadn't realised, but the Walk for Peace has been going for, I think, 36 years now, and you've raised millions upon millions of pounds for over 500 charities. But again, I think particularly at this moment in time for the country, to find you all coming together from such diverse backgrounds is an incredibly positive, fantastic expression of a community coming together and our communities coming together. And I think it could never be a more important time for us to have that. This year, my understanding is that the Walk for Peace will be in memory of all those who lost their lives to COVID. And I guess as we think back over what has been a really grueling 18 months, I personally, and I think many people will find a source of solace that we're coming together, that you're going to do this Walk for Peace and bring the community together and bring the country together, because it is that sense of community and national spirit that has seen us through the dark days of the pandemic. So in many ways, I think you're epitomizing, but galvanizing that sense of community spirit in an absolutely fantastic way. As Philip mentioned, I'm also here to say thank you, because you've kindly agreed to help sponsor one of the charities that I'm working for. In fact, it's a charity that works across Surrey and across London. And I'm going to be diving out of a plane next month for Shooting Star Children Hospices. Now, there are many reasons why people want their local MP to jump out of the plane, but I think this is the best one that you could possibly get behind. So they do, as I said, a lot of work in my constituency, but also across London. I've had a chance to meet with some of the families who have gone through an unimaginably difficult ordeal with children in palliative care. So it is an absolutely fantastic work that they do. They've been absolutely walloped by the pandemic, particularly things like fundraising events. So if you do feel able to support, and I'm very thankful and grateful that you have, we will rocket past our £20,000 target. And so I just wanted to come and say thank you. Have a great walk today.
Thank you very much, Dominic. National President of the Ahmadiyya Elders Association UK is currently out of the country, and I would now like to request one of our Vice Presidents, respected Dr. Surosaki, to kindly address us. Dr. Surosaki.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the Gracious, the Merciful. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be with you. First of all, I'd like to thank you for coming to this Charity Walk for Peace event, and we really do appreciate you all being here. And secondly, I want to begin by acknowledging the amazing work that is done by the charities to help those in need. I would also like to highlight the dedication of the huge number of volunteers who make this work possible. The religion of Islam teaches us to serve humanity and to promote peace, understanding, and goodwill. The founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, the promised Messiah, peace be on him, has written, "Be kind and merciful to humanity, for all are his creatures. Do not oppress them with your tongue, your hands, or in any other way. Always work for the good of mankind." And further, the promised Messiah, peace be on him, has written, "Each day, every person should analyze himself and see to what extent he is concerned for others, and to what extent he shows love and compassion to his brothers. Compassion for others is a huge demand and responsibility that weighs heavy on mankind. Since its inception, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community has tirelessly strived to spread the message of peace, and our motto, as many of you know, is love for all and hatred for none. The Charity Walk for Peace captures this spirit and brings people together for a common cause of helping those in need. Thank you once again for attending today's event.
Thank you, Dr. Surosaki. We move now to the next segment of the program, which is the Armed Forces Covenant signing. I would request Honorary Captain Dudana Ansari, OBE, and Chairman of Charity Walk for Peace, Zahir Ahmed, to make their way to the assigned area.
The members of the executive committee, charity walk executive, please come and take a picture. Thank you. Please be as quick as possible.
I would like to, I'm very grateful for the Right Honourable Dominic Raab to have attended today. I know he's got a very busy schedule, and we did say to him that he can continue with his work today as he wishes, so he's asking our leave. Thank you very much, Dominic.
So now I would like to invite Javeed Hamid of Poets of Peace to recite a poem. Javeed Hamid.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. The title of the poem I'm about to share is called Flowers That Answered the Call, and is about people that come forward for battle of various causes, the bravery and commitment they show, as in essence is very similar. Some medals are won, some are never awarded, but their light lives on through love. Here is my poem. Flowers that answered the call. In serene gardens do we remember flowers that answered the call, to weather the storm prepared to fall, whose petals cultivate the ground, blooming into a carpet fit for a king or a queen, whose scent we now wear, pinned on our hearts to be seen. This gift of remembrance honors those who once stood tall to make a difference where no tribute is too small. The ground now reverberates with a commitment of service to those still standing and for new seeds to surface, making a covenant to enrich more pastures and fields so petals can spread and new growth can yield. Nourished from above, a pure flower now surfaces, spreading its wings like a white dove, sweeping across fertile grasses, heralding a new time ahead, one which honors those that pave the way along a path lit with love for all, from which it does not stray. In serene gardens do we remember flowers that answered the call, to weather the storm prepared to fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Javed. To mark the occasion of entering into the Armed Forces Covenant, we are honoured to have received a message from the First Sea Lord and Chief of Naval Staff, Admiral Satoni Radikin. The First Sea Lord attended the 2019 International Jalsa and is a good friend of the community. I am pleased to extend a warm welcome to Honorary Captain Dodana Ansari, OBE, who is here to represent him. Dodana.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm delighted to be here today as the first Muslim woman to be an honorary captain of the Royal Navy, representing the First Sea Lord and Chief of Naval Staff at the signing of the Armed Forces Covenant by Charity Walk for Peace, organized by the Ahmadiyya Muslim Elders Association. The First Sea Lord and Chief of Naval Staff has the following message. Mr. President, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. The signing of the covenant marks a recognition of the value serving personnel, both regular and reservists, our veterans, and importantly, military families contribute to our community and our country. I have always been a firm believer that Her Majesty's armed forces reflect the society they represent, and I am honored to be here today wearing the uniform of a captain in the Royal Navy. In the past, with major conflicts in the 20th century, it was easy for people to understand the military. Many people served in uniform or had family members who had served. When the Royal British Legion was founded 100 years ago, after the First World War, those links were strong. As the time went on and society changed, the links between the services and society were no longer as close. This is, for me personally, a very special day, as I had my fellow honorary officers have been working with the Royal Navy for several years. Now, to help rebuild links between the services and the British public. Thank you all for choosing to show your support and signing the Armed Forces Covenant today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dodana. Our next eminent speaker is Graham Ferris, the Community Fundraising Manager of the Royal British Legion for the South East of England. Graham has a long association with Charity Walk for Peace, and I would request that he kindly address us.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me and to be part of the signing of the Armed Forces Covenant in this, our Royal British Legion 100 years celebration. It is so wonderful to be back amongst you, to be back amongst our friends at the mosque. We have always been so welcome, and they have supported us over many, many years, as has just been mentioned. Back in 2019, we launched the East Surrey Poppy Appeal from the mosque, and I believe it was the mosque. It's very important to remember that every poppy counts. I would like to take this opportunity to thank those in the community here that support the Poppy Appeal. I've seen at least 2 Poppy Appeal organisers here that go out in all weathers. They organise their volunteers, they support the Poppy Appeal. They raise hundreds of thousands of pounds every year. And I'd like to sincerely thank everyone here that has done that and has stood on rainy street corners in November to support our armed forces community. The red poppy is a symbol of remembrance and unites us all across all faiths, all cultures and all backgrounds. So finally, to conclude, it is my honour and my privilege to be here today, and I wish everyone taking part in the walk today a safe and enjoyable event. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Our next eminent speaker is Paul Scully, Member of Parliament for Sutton and Cheam. Paul currently serves as Minister of London, as well as Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State for Business, Energy, Industry and Industrial Strategy. Paul has been a close friend of the community for many years, and I would like to invite him to kindly address us.
Assalamu alaikum, and it's an absolute pleasure to be back together. This is the first time I've been with you in the Battle Footer Mosque for many, many months now, and it's so lovely to see so many friends that we've built up our relationship over so many years. And I just want to say, as Dominic Raab said, that thank you to you as we celebrate the role that people have made as we come out of the pandemic for over the last 18 months in COVID. Thank you to you for all the work that you've done for your community, the Ahmadiyya community, for the wider community as well, reaching out and making sure that people are okay and supporting them through their hour and months of need. Now, I think it's a wonderful thing that you are doing today, as you've always done over many years, this walk for peace. And I love the juxtaposition of this signing of the Armed Force Covenant. I remember someone telling me the difference between knowledge and wisdom, that knowledge was knowing that tomato was a fruit, but wisdom means that you don't put a tomato in a fruit salad. Now, the knowledge that you have is that peace is the right thing, that striving for peace, whether it is in armed conflict or the wider sense of peace, is absolutely the right thing to do. But the wisdom that you show is the support for the Poppy Appeal, the support for our armed forces by signing the Armed Covenant, realizing that conflict is a tragic consequence that happens, that is here, and so therefore your support for the armed forces in all its guises, in all its ways, is to be welcomed and commended. So thank you very much for that. Now, as we walk for various charities, let me just quickly tell you about 2 I'm doing, because whereas Dominic Raab is jumping out of a plane in a few weeks' time, in 2 weeks' time, I'm standing both feet on the floor, but I'll be running the London Marathon. And in the ultimate thank you. In the ultimate diary malfunction, I'm also running the week after the Royal Parks Half Marathon. So we'll see. It might be staggering or hobbling that, but that's for two causes: one national, one local. The national one is the Cystic Fibrosis Trust. These are people that have a genetic disease, and one of the proudest things that I've done in Parliament is actually to help campaign for them as a backbencher to get life-changing drugs free on the NHS, which we were successful in doing. Now, as I'm running around absolutely shattered along the marathon course, it is nothing to what children, especially with cystic fibrosis, have to do each and every day to get their lungs moving. So I'll be thinking of them. But the local charity is the Royal Marsden. We were asked to talk about the effect on COVID, and obviously one of the unintended consequences is the extension of and the delay in some treatment on people that have diseases and conditions other than COVID. And cancer is obviously one. I've lost friends that have been treated in the Royal Marsden. We all have. We all know people who have had their lives extended or just death, dignity in death given to them by the Royal Marsden. It's our biggest employer in my constituency. Has a fantastic reach right the way across South London and further afield. And thank you for everything you're doing to support these charities and other charities, the 500 charities that you've already raised money for. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Our next eminent speaker is Salman Nasir, Chief Vision Officer for the Forest of Memories. I would like to thank Salman for joining us today and request that he kindly address us.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. May peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It's a huge honor to be invited here today by the charity Walk for Peace, as we are a fairly new not-for-profit organization. I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting us here and letting us be part of this historic annual walk, which has become known nationally as a fantastic charity initiative. We loved and appreciated the fact that this year the charity has elected to host the walk in honor of those lost to the coronavirus. We've begun a new partnership with Charity Walk for Peace, and they showed us tremendous support at our recent event for bereaved families, the Picnics and Reflection event on the 14th of August. As I mentioned, we are a new for-impact organization, the Forest of Memories, with the vision to celebrate the lives and achievements of those lost during the COVID-19 pandemic to inspire the next generation. We are planting forests up and down the UK, with trees being dedicated to those that have been lost during the pandemic. We have come up with a unique way to remember these lost souls and their good deeds. We have created something called a memory tree. We plant trees for each lost loved one and link that physical tree to an online dedication or memorial. This can easily be set up by a relative or a friend, and it provides an online space to celebrate the life and achievements of that person. You can invite your friends and family to also contribute, to add their own prayers, their thoughts, comments, photographs, and videos as well, creating a permanent online place to remember and catalogue lives. When we have planted these trees for all our lost loved ones, we will have forests all over the UK. They will be publicly accessible places, amazingly designed, adding to the biodiversity of the locality. A place to learn, a place to heal, and a place to remember. In these forests, unknown to you, there will be a digital layer, only exposed when you take out your mobile phone. Using our augmented reality app, when you look through your mobile phone, you will see the faces of those lost loved ones as you walk around our forest. We planted our first inaugural tree during our picnics event on the 14th of August, and the first location for our Forest of Memories is in Runnymede, Surrey, and is supported by the National Trust. We have more locations throughout the UK and are looking for further sites and are looking to work with more councils, trusts, and landowners. And we have a model for our forest that is totally scalable from a small plot to a large forest. To date, we have gathered tremendous support. We have had an early day motion tabled in Parliament by Dr. Lisa Cameron with no less than 18 MPs as signatories. We've had a fantastic goodwill ambassador, Iftikhar Chowdhury, the former mayor of Runnymede. We have built solid partnerships with charities such as Marie Curie, Shelter, Mind, and Humanity First. But we still need more support. Please do tell your friends, both in the public sector and the corporate sector, about our cause and our not-for-profit organization. It's a huge privilege to be invited here today and to have the opportunity to address you as the Chief Vision Officer of the Forest of Memories, but also as an Ahmadi Muslim, albeit not quite an Ansar, a member of the Elders Association. It's actually my last year as a Khadim in the youth organization, and I hope next year to join you officially as an elder. I'll leave you with one final quote from His Holiness, our leader, Khalifatul Masih V. He was asked by a young lady during a virtual meeting with the Midlands region on the 12th of September this year. How important is it for Ahmadi Muslims to fight climate change, was the question. Hazur said it was very important and gave practical examples about how we can help the cause. But one particular thing that he mentioned, and I quote, he said, "Every Ahmadi should make it a point to plant 2 trees every year. This is how we can fight climate change." We are planting trees in remembrance of those heroes who have gone back to their creator, helping the environment by increasing biodiversity, reducing flood risks, lowering the temperature, and improving the mental health of bereaved families during one of the most difficult periods in living memory. Thank you for the support that you have given us and for the invitation today. May peace be upon you.
Thank you, Salman. Our next eminent speaker is Jonathan Lord, Member of Parliament for Woking. Jonathan was elected to Parliament in 2010. He is a close and valued member, a friend of the community, and I would request that he kindly address us.
Good morning, everyone. Salam alaikum. I bring warm greetings from Woking, and I know that Woking and our mosque have a very special place in the hearts and history of the Ahmadiyyan community here in the UK. It came as no surprise to me that when COVID struck, that your community played a very important role in terms of supporting people in need. And I visited, in particular, a hugely successful vaccination centre run entirely by the community, particularly the youth communities who perhaps wouldn't otherwise have got vaccinated. I'm also here to thank you very much indeed for supporting once again our Royal British Legion. We always have a hugely successful poppy appeal in Woking and surrounding towns, and I'm pleased to see some of our key organisers here today. But it is a hugely important charity for our armed forces personnel. And it is the amounts of money that you raise are truly awesome. So in particular, I thank you for that. And I wish everyone a really successful walk and day today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. I now have the pleasure of introducing our next eminent speaker, Councillor Mark Allison, Leader of Merton Council, and I would request that he kindly address us.
Thank you very much. And I may say what a great honour it is to be invited here today as the leader of Merton Council and the leader of the Labour group in Merton to address you today. I begin by thanking the chairman of the Charity Walk for Peace for all of today's events and for his colleagues for making this happen. It's great that you're back. I'm absolutely delighted that we can have a Charity Walk for Peace today. It's a real honour for us in Merton as well that you are here based in Morden, in the London Borough of Merton, the largest mosque in Europe, It's a terrific thing for our community that you're here, contributing so richly to our wonderful community. And it's very touching and very kind of you that the cause for this year's Charity Walk for Peace is assisting people affected by the coronavirus. I know that many of us in this room have been affected by the coronavirus and have lost people that they love through this last year and a half, and have been affected in other ways as well, financially or other. So we do appreciate as a community here in Merton the work that you are doing to recognise those people who've been affected by coronavirus. In particular, I'd like to thank the AMA for assisting Merton and the NHS with encouraging people to get vaccinated and with holding vaccination centres and testing centres here. That work is much appreciated. At the start of the pandemic as well, on a personal level, my wife and I and some of my friends set up a food bank over in Pollard's Hill, in one of the most disadvantaged areas of Merton, and we would like to pass on our thanks to the community for the donations that you have made of food and other gifts to our residents who have needed it during this period. It means a great deal to me that you are all here today. It means a great deal to the people of Merton that you are all here today, and I'd like to thank you again for organising this event. I wish you good luck and hope that you don't have too many blisters. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Our next eminent speaker is Stephen Hammond, Member of Parliament for Wimbledon, where part of this, the Bait al-Futuh Mosque, is situated. Stephen is currently Secretary to the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community All-Party Parliamentary Group. He is a long-standing friend of the community, and I would like to invite him to say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. Well, I'm particularly honoured to be following so many eminent speakers this morning in praise of this event. I'm also slightly humbled to hear the energetic, if slightly unwise activities that some of my colleagues might be undertaking. I can assure you, although it may disappoint several people, I won't be jumping out of aeroplanes. We learn many things through the COVID crisis, and it's only right that today's event should be commemorating all of those who died and all the many who suffered. One of the things I think we learned in Merton, as Councillor Allison has just pointed out, is the extraordinary spirit of the local community, where people spontaneously went out either in small ways to help others, set up food banks, helped with food delivery, became a friend. And that sort of epitomized, I think, two things. Firstly, that there is a huge font of good community, good spirit and goodwill to everybody and to neighbours. And it also epitomized, I think, the old saying that charity often begins at home. But of course, I don't need to tell anyone in this room. I have attended many of your events over the last 20 years, from speaking at jalsas to smaller, more intimate events. And one of the things that this community knows and has always done is to recognise that charity is at the heart of everything you do. And also, you also recognise that home is not just where you live or the country you live in or indeed continent. Home must be the world that we all live in. We all must look after one another. And that is epitomised so much of what your community does. So I want to thank you today for all that you do, particularly for this charity walk, particularly for commemorating those who have died during the COVID crisis, but also to signing the Armed Covenant today, which will mean so much to so many people. And thank you. Enjoy the walk. Raise a lot of money.
Thank you, Stephen. Our next eminent speaker is Brigadier Paul Evans, OBE and Deputy Lieutenant of Surrey, and currently serving as President of the Royal British Legion for Surrey. Paul is a good friend of the community, and I would like him to kindly address us.
Hi, Sheriff, elders of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Elders Association, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. I must say it's good to be back. On behalf of the Surrey Royal British Legion, I would like to thank you all for your generous invitation to attend the National Charity Walk for Peace, the really important signing of the Armed Forces Covenant, and the celebrations of the 100th anniversary of the formation of the British Legion, the royal element of which was added in 1971. The previous speakers have spoken about the history of the Legion and the importance of the Armed Forces Covenant. For me, these two elements combine in a common interest to do all that we can to support the military community. Indeed, is there anything more important for a nation than to recognize and remember the contribution of our service personnel, past and present, and to provide help to service personnel or veterans and their families in their hour of need. After all, they have committed and continue to commit themselves to supporting our peace and our security. And I would like, as the President of Surrey Royal British Legion, and on behalf of our Chairman, of all Legion branches and members within Surrey, to congratulate you on the commitments you have made within the Armed Forces Covenant. With your considerable help, we within Surrey have been able to make a significant contribution to the nation's efforts to raise money for much needed funds. We have benefited so much from the support that you have given to the Legion over the years, and the efforts of so many volunteers, many here today, to organize events and collect donations on our behalf. We have been really fortunate that the Royal British Legion boundaries place Morden within the Surrey Royal British Legion area. This has provided us with a unique opportunity to develop such a strong bond and effective relationship with the mosque and with the association. It is a genuine partnership of two organizations that have strong values and a deep commitment to supporting others who are less fortunate than ourselves, particularly those within the military community, many of whom are simply too proud to seek help elsewhere, but know that the Royal British Legion is there to help. On behalf of Surrey Royal British Legion, I salute you all. You can all be proud of your achievements, as we in the British Legion are very proud of you. I know that our partnership will continue to deliver real benefit over the coming years. It would be remiss of me not to publicly recognize the contribution of Peter Wakeham, who is here today, in terms of fundraising within Surrey, but particularly for maintaining and developing the partnership with you. I will simply end by pledging on behalf of the County Chairman and all members of Surrey Royal British Legion our full support to you. We will be forever grateful for your contribution, your friendship, and your dedication to the work of the Royal British Legion. The commitment that you have made today is impressive and a demonstration to all of the importance you attach to the wonderful work of the Legion and your partnership with Surrey Royal British Legion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brigadier Paul Evans. I would now like to introduce respected Mr. Akram Ahmadi, the National Vice President of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in the United Kingdom, to kindly deliver the keynote address. Mr. Akram Ahmadi.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. When I look at that, it's just marvelous, isn't it? We are back. So it gives me great pleasure to invite you and to join us again in the wonderful work that we have been doing over so many years. In fact, the very first marathon walk which we did, we like to call it marathon, even if our elders aren't quite up to it, but it keeps them happy. That the first one we did, and it was actually the first one, were actually marathon walks. And at that time, I think there were perhaps no more than 20 members who came for that walk, and that was held in our center, which is now in Tilford, called Islamabad, and that is all. And our current, at that time, the spiritual leader was Mirza Tahir Ahmad, who was the fourth caliph. He organized that, and after that he said, you should also be raising funds for the communities in which you work. And that is where this process started. And it's so wonderful now that we have this national event where thousands of people come now. And not only this one, but the Elders Association have taken it a step further. We don't only hold one center one, but we hold it around the country, small ones, regional ones, so that the whole of not only our community, but the communities that they live can participate in this work. This is a very important and spiritual work for the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association. The founder, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, may peace be upon him, mentioned that there are two purposes in life. One is to serve God and worship Him. And the second one is to look after His creation. So this is the second part, looking after His creation. And it's not only looking after mankind, but all other things as well, animals and what else there is. And actually within that, you could say, we can say that also climate change comes into this, looking after our environment. And I'm also glad to say that the work that our Elders Association has done has encompassed all of that. You heard one of our gentlemen speaking about forests, and that is very also crucial to us. Also, through the Elders Association, we are not only working here in the UK, but all over the world, in particular in poor countries like Africa and South America. And in fact, our present president is actually in Burkina Faso at the moment, because our Elders Association have just built a wonderful eye clinic in Burkina Faso. You know, the eye clinics are mostly there for cataract, but it also, we are going to provide very sophisticated and clever doctors who will look at other aspects for eyes for the people up there. And you know, in fact, for example, the cataract operation, it doesn't cost too much. Excuse me. But If there is no facility, if there are no experts, people go blind forever, literally. And I'm so glad that the Elders Association have taken this on them. And they built a beautiful hospital in Burkina Faso. We are going to take this forward. On top of that, the Elders Association have been involved in bringing water to very remote locations. Thank you. You couldn't have written a better script. Thank you. I'll take the water now. So they have been supporting our projects in Africa, especially in mid-Sahara areas, where, you know, children and in particular ladies in those countries, as you know, it is the ladies who do most of the work. They have to carry heavy loads up to 3-4 kilometers every day. And what happens then is that they can't do anything else, can't build up their families, they can't build up, you know, live a normal life. Because if you've walked 3-4 miles carrying loads, going to the well, or sometimes not even a well, but a stream perhaps, and carrying dirty water back to your home, by the time you come back, it's a 4 or 5 hour trek. And that just exhausts you. You can't do anything else. And then, therefore, it doesn't help. I remember in one village, to give you an example, and this is a wonderful example, that when I first went there were perhaps only 2 bicycles, you know, that's all they owned in that village. And when I went there after 5 years, once we've constructed some water wells for them and brought water and electricity to them, after 4 or 5 years, they had 2 cars in the village and about 20 motorcycles, you know. And so this is how life changes, just by bringing water to the very remotest. Another aspect which the Elders Association has done is bring electricity, because what you find is that these children who live in those villages can't study. You know, they're spending all the time getting water or whatever. By the time they come home in the evening, there's no light. And so we brought electricity to such villages. And some of them are doing very well indeed. In fact, I heard that once I went to another country, I think it was Mali, where, you know, I went to the, when I arrived at the airport, and they said to me that you know, our missionary was there to greet me. And he said, he took my passport, and he said, we'll just leave it with the assistant who does the computing there, you know. And I said, can't I have my passport back? They said, don't worry, he's now one of us. We taught him how to do computing, and he got a job in the ministry because of that. So this is the impact these people have now had, how we are changing their lives. And it is through the help that you have given us, through the donations that you have helped us collect, which has helped them to stand up on their feet, because that's what we want. We want them not just to be sort of someone who's always on charity, but to stand on their feet so they can do these works themselves and then contribute to society truly. So with those few words, perhaps I'll just add just one more, and that is that it gives us great pleasure this year to sign the covenant with the British Legion. That is very important to us for the work that they do over the 100 years that they have done that, and may God continue to support them, and we shall also support them in all the ways that we can. So thank you very much for your coming here today. It's opened up our doors again, once again, and we hope to continue with this work. Thank you very much indeed. We normally end our work with a short prayer. You can pray in any way you like. We just raise our hands and pray to God, and you can pray the way that you like, or not at all. So please join me in a silent prayer. Amen.
Thank you. That concludes the presentation for this morning. And I would like for Rafi Ahmed, Vice Chairman of Charity Walk for Peace, to make some short announcements. Thank you.
I promise I'm not going to be long. First of all, I know a lot of you want to see the mosque. Somebody asked me, are we even allowed to go in the mosque? Of course, you're most welcome. And after the walk, or even if you're not going for the walk, you don't have to go for the walk. Please go to the back there. There's a mosque receptions area, and they'll help you. Waleed is there waving his hand, and you can go and see him, and we can go for some mosque tours. After the walk, at 12 o'clock or a few minutes from now, there was going to be a running lunch. Sorry about the pun. So a walking lunch, okay? So there's buffet trays here. We'll be serving you. Please help yourselves there. And now we're going to go out and get ready for the walk, and we're going to line up before the pipers march us out. So a very nice touch, which I would like to thank Peter Wakeham for. So firstly, if I can request the head table to please, even if they're not walking, for the picture moment, if they could kindly follow Fahim. He's there. He's one of our vice presidents, and we can go to the front of the queue. And after my friends at the head table, can I ask all our guests, you don't have to go for the walk, but please come for the photo opportunity, line up outside. So that's next. If I can ask all our guests, all our non-elders members guests, please make your way to the start of the walk. Fahim, could you raise your hand so they can follow you? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So you're making your way. And as soon as our guests have lined up, I would request my brothers from Majlis Ansarullah to please line up behind our guests. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
तुम्हें क्या चाहता हूँ बंदा मगर मैं खुदा चाहता हूँ بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. میں اپنے سیاہ خانہ دل کی خاطر وفا کے خالق وفا چاہتا ہوں جو پھر سے ہرا کر دے ہر خشک پودا چمن کے لیے وہ صبا چاہتا ہوں چمن کے لیے وہ صبا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. مجھے بیر ہرگز نہیں ہے کسی سے میں دنیا میں سب کا بھلا چاہتا ہوں. وہی خاک جس سے بنا میرا پتلا میں اس خاک کو دیکھنا چاہتا ہوں میں اس خاک کو دیکھنا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. نکالا مجھے جس نے میرے چمن سے میں اس کا بھی دل سے بھلا چاہتا ہوں. میرے بالوں پر میں وہ ہمت ہے پیدا کہ لے کر قفس کو اڑا چاہتا ہوں کہ لے کر قفس کو اڑا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. کبھی جس کو رشیوں نے منہ سے لگایا وہی جام اب میں پیا چاہتا ہوں. رقیبوں کو آرام و راحت کی خواہش مگر میں تو کرب و بلا چاہتا ہوں مگر میں تو کرب و بلا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. دکھائے جو ہر دم تیرا حسن مجھ کو میری جان میں وہ آئینہ چاہتا ہوں میری मेरी जान में वो आईना चाहता हूँ बताऊं तुम्हें क्या कि क्या चाहता हूँ बंदा मगर मैं खुदा चाहता हूँ बताऊं तुम्हें क्या कि क्या चाहता हूँ बंदा मगर मैं खुदा चाहता हूँ बंदा मगर मैं खुदा चाहता हूँ बंदा मगर मैं खुदा चाहता हूँ
जो जात जाविदानी हम सही नहीं है उसका कोई न कोई सानी बाकी वही हमेशा गैर उसके सब है फानी गैरों से दिल लगाना झूठी है सब कहानी सब गैर है वही है एक दिल का यार जानी दिल में मेरे यही है सुबहान मैया रानी सबका वही सहारा रहमत है आशिकारा हमको वही प्यारा दिलबर वही हमारा उस बिन नहीं गुजारा गैरों उसके झूठ सारा ये रोज कर मुबारक सुबहान मैया रानी क्यों कर हो शुक्र तेरा तेरा है जो है मेरा तूने हर एक करम से घर भर दिया है मेरा जब तेरा नूर आया जाता रहा अंधेरा ये रोज कर मुबारक सुबहान मैया रानी तेरा ये सब करम है तू रहमते आतम है क्यों कर हो हमद तेरी कब ताकते कलम है तेरा हूँ मैं हमेशा जब तक के दम में दम है ये रोज कर मुबारक सुबहान मैया रानी ए कादिरो तवाना आफात से बचाना हम तेरे दर पे आए हमने है तुझको माना गैरों से दिल गनी है जब से है तुझको जाना ये रोज कर मुबारक सुबहान मैया रानी
बताऊं तुम्हें क्या कि क्या चाहता हूँ बंदा मगर मैं خدا چاہتا ہوں بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں میں اپنے سیاہ خانہ دل کی خاطر وفا کے خالق وفا چاہتا ہوں جو پھر سے ہرا کر دے ہر خشک پودا چمن کے لیے وہ صبا چاہتا ہوں چمن کے لیے وہ صبا چاہتا ہوں بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں مجھے بیر ہرگز نہیں ہے کسی سے میں دنیا میں سب کا بھلا چاہتا ہوں وہی خاک جس سے بنا میرا پتلا میں اس خاک کو دیکھنا چاہتا ہوں میں اس خاک کو دیکھنا چاہتا ہوں بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں نکالا مجھے جس نے میرے چمن سے میں اس کا بھی دل سے بھلا چاہتا ہوں میرے بالوں پر میں وہ ہمت ہے پیدا کہ لے کر قفس کو اڑا چاہتا ہوں کہ لے کر قفس کو اڑا چاہتا ہوں بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں کبھی جس کو رشیوں نے منہ سے لگایا وہی جام اب میں پیا چاہتا ہوں رقیبوں کو آرام و راحت کی خواہش مگر میں تو کرب و بلا چاہتا ہوں مگر میں تو کرب و بلا چاہتا ہوں بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں دکھائے جو ہر دم تیرا حسن مجھ کو میری جان میں وہ آئینہ چاہتا ہوں میری جان میں وہ آئینہ چاہتا ہوں بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں
دو سنا اسی کو جو ذات جاویدانی ہم سر نہیں ہے اس کا کوئی نہ کوئی ثانی باقی
بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. میں اپنے سیاہ خانہ دل کی خاطر وفا کے خالق وفا چاہتا ہوں. جو پھر سے ہرا کر دے ہر خشک پودا چمن کے لیے وہ صبا چاہتا ہوں. چمن کے لیے وہ صبا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. مجھے بیر ہرگز نہیں ہے کسی سے. میں دنیا میں سب کا بھلا چاہتا ہوں. وہی خاک جس سے بنا میرا پتلا میں اس خاک کو دیکھنا چاہتا ہوں. میں اس خاک کو دیکھنا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. نکالا مجھے جس نے میرے چمن سے میں اس کا بھی دل سے بھلا چاہتا ہوں. میرے بالوں پر میں وہ ہمت ہے پیدا کہ لے کر قفس کو اڑا چاہتا ہوں کہ لے کر قفس کو اڑا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. کبھی جس کو رشیوں نے منہ سے لگایا وہی جام اب میں پیا چاہتا ہوں. رقیبوں کو آرام و راحت کی خواہش مگر میں تو کرب و بلا چاہتا ہوں. مگر میں تو کرب و بلا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. دکھائے جو ہر دم تیرا حسن مجھ کو میری جان जान में वो आईना चाहता हूँ, मेरी जान में वो आईना चाहता हूँ। बताऊं तुम्हें क्या कि क्या चाहता हूँ बंदा मगर मैं खुदा चाहता हूँ। बताऊं तुम्हें क्या कि क्या चाहता हूँ बंदा मगर मैं खुदा चाहता हूँ बंदा मगर मैं खुदा चाहता हूँ बंदा मगर मैं खुदा चाहता हूँ।
दोसना उसी को जो जात जाविदानी, हम सही नहीं है उसका कोई न कोई सानी। बाकी वही हमेशा गैर उसके सब है फानी। गैरों से दिल लगाना छूटी है सब कहानी। सब गैर है वही है एक दिल का यार जानी। दिल में मेरे यही है सुबहान मैया रानी। सबका वही सहारा रहमत है आशिकारा। हमको वही प्यारा दिलबर वही हमारा। उस बिन नहीं गुजारा गैरों उसके झूठे सारा। ये रोज कर मुबारक सुबहान मैया रानी। क्यों कर हो शुक्र तेरा, तेरा है जो है मेरा। तूने हर एक करम से घर भर दिया है मेरा। जब तेरा नूर आया जाता रहा अंधेरा। ये रोज कर मुबारक सुबहान मैया रानी। तेरा ये सब करम है, तू रहमते आतम है। क्यों कर हो हमद तेरी कब ताकते कलम है। तेरा हूँ मैं हमेशा जब तक के दम में दम है। ये रोज कर मुबारक सुबहान मैया रानी। ए कादिरो तवाना आफात से बचाना। हम तेरे दर पे आए, हमने है तुझको माना। गैरों से दिल गनी है जब से है तुझको जाना। ये रोज कर मुबारक सुबहान मैया रानी।
बताऊं तुम्हें क्या کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. میں اپنے سیاہ خانہ دل کی خاطر وفا کے خالق وفا چاہتا ہوں. جو پھر سے ہرا کر دے ہر خشک پودا چمن کے لیے وہ صبا چاہتا ہوں. چمن کے لیے وہ صبا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. مجھے بیر ہرگز نہیں ہے کسی سے، میں دنیا میں سب کا بھلا چاہتا ہوں. وہی خاک جس سے بنا میرا پتلا، میں اس خاک کو دیکھنا چاہتا ہوں. میں اس خاک کو دیکھنا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. نکالا مجھے جس نے میرے چمن سے، میں بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. میں اپنے سیاہ خانہ دل کی خاطر وفا کے خالق وفا چاہتا ہوں. جو پھر سے ہرا کر دے ہر خشک پودا، چمن کے لیے وہ صبا چاہتا ہوں. چمن کے لیے وہ صبا چاہتا ہوں. بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں. مجھے بیر ہرگز نہیں ہے کسی سے، میں دنیا میں سب کا بھلا چاہتا ہوں، وہی خاک جس سے بنا میرا پتلا، میں اس خاک کو دیکھنا چاہتا ہوں، میں اس خاک کو دیکھنا چاہتا ہوں۔ بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں۔ نکالا مجھے جس نے میرے چمن سے، میں اس کا بھی دل سے بھلا چاہتا ہوں۔ میرے بالوں پر میں وہ ہمت ہے پیدا کہ لے کر قفس کو اڑا چاہتا ہوں، کہ لے کر قفس کو اڑا چاہتا ہوں۔ بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں۔ کبھی جس کو رشیوں نے منہ سے لگایا، وہی جام اب میں پیا چاہتا ہوں۔ رقیبوں کو آرام و راحت کی خواہش، مگر میں تو کرب و بلا چاہتا ہوں، مگر میں تو کرب و بلا چاہتا ہوں۔ بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں۔ دکھائے جو ہر دم تیرا حسن مجھ کو، میری جان میں وہ آئینہ چاہتا ہوں، میری جان میں وہ آئینہ چاہتا ہوں۔ بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں۔ بتاؤں تمہیں کیا کہ کیا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر میں خدا چاہتا ہوں بندہ مگر